Affairs Committee to order at 7 p.m. via Zoom teleconference. As chairwoman of the Human Affairs Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which is authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are using Zoom, and the meeting link can be found in the agenda as well on the city's website. You can also join by telephone by dialing 1-929-205-6099 with a meeting ID of 835-0242-7402 and the passcode of 999999. The public may also view this meeting on Comcast Channel 16. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public postings. Instructions have also been provided on the City of Nashua's website at nashuanh.gov and publicly noticed at City Hall and Nashua Public Library. If anyone has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or Channel 16, please call 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via the methods mentioned above, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Alderman Wilshire?
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
I can hear everyone. I'm in this room alone. And that's it.
Alderman Clee.
I am here. I can hear the proceedings and I am alone at the moment.
Alderman Karen.
Yes, I am here. I can hear everyone and I am alone.
Alderman Wilshire is here. I can hear everyone and I am here alone. Alderwoman Kelly.
I'm here, I'm alone, and I can hear everyone.
We have 5 members present.
Great. Also in attendance, I see Carrie Skina, Urban Programs Manager, and Director Marchand. Did I miss anybody? I think that's it. Okay. So first thing on our agenda this evening is a public hearing to talk to the draft action plan for FY 2022 annual action plan for CDBG and home programs. Now go to full view here. We would like to open this up to testimony in favor. Is there anyone from the public here that would like to speak in favor? If so, please raise your hand. I'll recognize you and you can state your name and address. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody. It's so much harder on Zoom. I don't see anyone. Thank you. Okay. Then I will call for testimony in opposition. Oh wait, I see a hand up. I see one hand up. Sorry, I totally missed your hand.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ruth Morissette and I'm with Gateways Community Services. And we had actually requested funding for our group homes. It looks like from the minutes of the meeting on March 8th that you were in favor of replacing a fence at Atherton Avenue, which actually is the more critical of the two that we asked for. So I just wanted to thank you and let you know that this is something critical that will help the residents of that group home.
Alderwoman Kelly, you're on mute.
Of course I am. It has to happen at least once a meeting. I said okay, and then I was just looking to make sure there was no more testimony in favor that I missed. All right, we'll go to testimony in opposition. Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, we'll go one more time. Testimony in favor. And testimony in opposition. Okay, seeing none, I will declare the public hearing closed at 7:05, and we can roll into our regular meeting. Okay. So our regular meeting opens up with public comment, which we've already noted there is no public. Presentations,
There are none.
communications,
There are none.
unfinished business,
There is none.
new business resolutions.
Before us tonight, we have Resolution 21-126, authorizing the mayor to apply for and expend the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Program funds for fiscal year 2022. I will make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
The motion is for final passage. I will call for discussion on that motion. Director Martin, I saw your hand go up.
Good evening. I was on a different Zoom where there was different protocols, so I apologize. Thank you all so much for having me here tonight. Sarah Marchant, Community Development Director. I wanted to talk to you briefly about a brand new source of funding that was just announced in the past 2 weeks, maybe almost 2 weeks, not even quite 2 weeks ago. Based on that new funding, ask for an amendment to what is presented here tonight. So with the American Rescue Plan passed by the federal government recently, the city of Nashua is getting, for the first time ever, a distribution of what they're calling home ARP funds. These funds are not your traditional home funds. They are very, very focused on supporting our homeless and at risk of homelessness, and those more specific services to prevent homelessness and those kind of things, which is unique to home. And we're getting $1.6 million of this funding. This has never before come through funding, and it certainly wasn't something that you had when you evaluated the distributions you put forward at your March meeting. In lieu of this new money, we are not going to, I will say that HUD has made it very clear that they're asking grantees not to do anything with these dollars until they officially publish the Federal Register information, which we do expect in the next month or so. But we do know that this funding is specifically targeting homelessness and at risk of homelessness. And this funding would be a perfect substitution or perfect funding for what the Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter had proposed. And so what I would like to propose, in lieu of the $75,000 of CDBG dollars going to the soup kitchen and the future allocations in FY23 and 24, I would like to propose instead that the CDBG dollars be reconsidered for the East Hollis Street Heritage Rail Trail at $68,000, and that instead we appropriate at least the same amount of dollars towards the Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter from these home ARP funds. I did speak with Mike Reinke about it, and I know he was going to try and be on tonight. He was delighted by that idea and had no problem with it whatsoever. He is still very interested in the HODAG funds that are part of this resolution. And I said we were very interested in him still having those funds as well. But he asked if he could have more of the home ARP funds. And I said, I think that was still to be discussed, but that certainly there's 1.6 million. There's a very sufficient amount of these funds, and we'll need to decide exactly where it goes. It has a little bit longer time frame for spending, but as this program clearly fits within the limited parameters we already have, it seems like a fair switch. And also these dollars would be available to him, the home ARP funds, faster than the CDBG dollars would have been available to him. And that is also something that was appealing. So that's what I have tonight, and I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Alderman Clee. Thank you, Director Marchand.
Yes, thank you, Director Marchand. I love the fact that we're getting $1.6 million. Sometimes I feel like I'm not really always 100% up on my email. Did we get anything that helped us describe what the ARP program is? That's my first question. And my second question is, beyond the soup kitchen, is there any program that's asking us for funds that would qualify under that program that you're aware of? You know, so something like, not necessarily like gateways, but if there were some of those, the other programs that help with home reapportionment and so on, even like the home funds that we talked about, I think that, are there any other programs that we have here that would qualify? I'm sorry for such a long question.
No, I think that's a very
over my own words.
question. And I would say that Ms. Hina can jump in at any time as well. The guidelines are not super clear yet. What we know is the funds have to be expended by 2029. There is no match required, and we can take a portion for admin, which would be important, adding this whole new program to our plate to administer. But that the eligible activities are, it's very targeted, unlike other home funds, to homelessness, at risk of homelessness, fleeing domestic and dating violence. So some of our other partners that maybe are not in this list before you as CDBG, but that we would be reaching out to about this program would certainly be Front Door Agency, Marguerite's, Bridges,
Revive, something like Revive also, where they're.
Yep. So I think as we get the Federal Register, just as we have with the other CDBG CV funds in the past, we would come up with, based on the parameters, a basic grant application program that we would then bring to you the results of that, most likely, for review and apportionment of those funds. But what we do know is, I don't think there's anything else on this list right now, but that this one item right now, and Mr. Renke is here and he might want to speak to it as well, but this one item right now is very clearly would fit within the parameters of that. And so this is the one thing that we think right now, but certainly these dollars, we have to figure out what the program parameters are and then figure out what other community partners would be eligible for these activities.
Madam Chair, may I have one more comment?
Alderman Clee.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that time. I absolutely love the idea, and I love the idea that we would be able to help the National Soup Kitchen sooner than later. You mentioned that the CDBG funds take a little bit longer. This would give them more guaranteed money in their pocket now rather than having to wait as long. It's an incredible program that Mr. Renke and the board members and so on are doing. So I think the more the better we can do that. You said that they don't have to be expended till 2029. Is that what you're saying? So this is obviously going to be a one-shot deal. We get this money, and over the next 8 years or so, we have to give them out. So do they have to be spent by that time or just allocated to that time?
Expended.
Okay, so they actually have to be spent. So that's a good, because obviously the National Soup Kitchen program is going to take a little while to work on and so on. I'm sure we're gonna have more questions, but thank you for indulging me, Madam President.
All set, Alderman Clee. I see Alderman
Yes, I am.
Wilshire's
Thank
hand
you.
up. Yep.
Thank you. So you're asking us, Director Marchand, to just take line 10 out of the resolution. And we'd need a motion to move that, which I can do later. So that means none of this funding for Soup Kitchen would come out of CDBG at all. Oh. And we're sure we're getting this money. Okay. I hate to see the Soup Kitchen waiting for 68,000 or 75,000 and then the money doesn't come through, but thank you, Director Marchand.
To be clear, it is in line 10, there's 75 this year, and over FY 23 and 24, it would be a total of another 100, so 175,000. And so what I'm proposing is kind of the same amount, at least, from the new home ARP funds.
Okay,
So it's not just the 75, it's the 175 over the 3 years that you promised that they would be eligible for with this program.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? I have a few, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I see June.
Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Wilshire asked the question that I was going to ask, but Director Marchant, the money that we have, I know one of the items that we didn't fund was the rail trail, but I don't have the previous paperwork. How much was it that you had been asked for that particular project?
$68,000, and that is the final matching money for the additional funds we needed for the rail trail project, as it has taken so long to move forward. And as we all know, construction prices have risen over 40%. And so the state DOT is significantly upping their contribution, and this would be our 20% match to the 80% they're putting in.
Okay. May I ask another question?
Alderman Karen.
Yes, thank you. So in other words, if we amend this, as Alderman Wilshire said, then that would give us about $7,000 that maybe we could give to another project within this group that we have. I know money was tight, so obviously I don't have a problem giving you the $68,000, but if that's all that you had asked for, I would like to see us spend the other balance on one or two of the other projects if possible.
Alderman Karen, I have the spreadsheet up, and the exact ask was $68,307.
Okay, so if we gave them 69,000, we could.
Yep.
It would give us about $1,000 to spend.
We also have right now sitting in contingency 9,132. So if that is anything we want to reconsider with the 7,000, there'd be somewhere, I'll do the math in a second, but somewhere around 16,000.
That sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Clee, go ahead.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. The question that I have is kind of follows what Alderwoman Karen was mentioning, and that was the rail trail funds. I'm a firm believer in trying to get as much matching dollars as possible anytime we can. I never look a gift horse in the mouth, and I really like that idea. I also remember, and I spoke to you about that, Madam Chair, was that and now I'm blanking at the organization needs it for the furnaces, and I believe that was that Opportunity Network that needed that.
That was actually Marguerite's Place, and I think
Marguerite's
when we were
Place,
on,
that's what it was. Yes,
yep.
Marguerite's Place. When we originally talked, we had kind of funded a couple of those. They said that they didn't have any other funding sources, so I would be in favor of putting more money towards that. We don't want to leave them literally out in the cold. But if we did have this 16,000, I think I would like to discuss where we could possibly allocate it. And I know President Wilshire had mentioned that we would be making a motion soon. So I think the sooner we can make a motion and start talking about that funds, and the better off we are. Thank you.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Alderman Karen.
Yes. I think Alderman Clee is a little confused. It's not $16,000 difference between the 68 and 75. I think she's got the contingency money
I did.
added into that. Oh, okay.
I absolutely did. And I apologize for not being,
I got a
for not
little,
being clearer. Yeah, no, I
okay, I
apologize
got
for not being clearer.
confused. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
thank you for, please, thank you for bringing that up. And when the audience is listening, I would be confusing them as well. So no, thank you for the correction. But yes, that's what I did mean.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's more like $18,825 and
I can share my
88 cents.
screen, but I hate sharing my Excel document because it's always so beautiful as I'm trying to deal with it. If we want to start getting into how to reallocate that, I can definitely share it so people can follow along. But I had some questions before that. Are there other questions from the committee? So Director Marchand, my questions were around sort of the new funding. I know you said you're not sure where you're going to get those outlines in terms of what could be available, but I was just, are we thinking it's a month from now? Are we thinking it's 2 months from now?
Yeah, sorry.
And if there was someone on this set of allocations that maybe we partially funded, could they come to that fund to look for the remainder if it fit within?
I was gonna say, I will turn that over. As far as the timeline goes, it is pretty short. Each of these new programs within the American Recovery Act, the Treasury has a specified number of days to turn around the rules. And so I believe this one is not too far from now, but I will turn it over to Carrie to answer the rest of the question.
Thank you.
Good evening, Carrie Skeena, Manager of the Urban Programs Department, part of Community Development. So to answer that question, there aren't really any other proposals on this particular list that would be a good fit. Although, I understand Marguerite's Place does transitional housing, which is homelessness. I would say it would be premature. Normally, the home funds are for large scale projects or major rehab that are going to correct either a lot of deficiencies through rehab or typically new construction. So I don't think the request for the boilers there would really be a good fit for the home funds that are coming in. And as Director Marchand said, we envision doing some type of local planning or local analysis to figure out how best to spend those funds, because they do include pieces that normally aren't in the home program. So, there could be operating dollars, but there's the tenant-based rental assistance is also eligible. And then of course, units and affordable housing. So, there may be agencies out there such as Marguerite's Place or Front Door Agency or any number of the other nonprofits who are part of the continuum of care that are doing this work that maybe looking to develop affordable housing, and that might be an appropriate use. But really, until HUD publishes the Federal Register notice, we're not going to know what kind of waivers beyond what was written into the bill. And so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves in that, and certainly wouldn't want to kind of pull anything out of this resolution that's not a sure thing, and then be kind of caught later down the pipeline not having an appropriate use for them.
Okay, so just to reiterate what you said, you feel most comfortable with the soup kitchen project fitting with under this. Everything else, we're not sure, so we'd like to not even go there right now.
Right. I just wouldn't want to gamble on any of it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Okay, Alderman Clee.
Thank you once again, Madam Chair. The only thing that I was thinking and keeping in mind was not to pull any out. Like we said, we'd pull the soup kitchen out because we're pretty sure of those. I guess my question was, I think, similar to what Alderwoman Karen had kind of mentioned, in that if we're not able to fund them fully, so for instance, Marguerite's Place, would they down the road maybe be able to apply? But after listening to what Ms. Skeena said relative to not necessarily being a big enough project, if we scale down what they're going to need, would that make them even less apt to be able to qualify? I guess that's my question, is if we do fund them, say right now we've short-sheeted them about $30,000. about $30,000. No, I'm staying awake. Um, about $30,000. So obviously we wouldn't be able to still come up all of it, but if we were able to give them even $10,000 or $15,000, would the remaining, if they did qualify, is that going to be now too small for these monies? And my question is to Ms. Skeena.
Ms. Skeena?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it probably would be. And the reason I say that is home is usually very complex and it comes with long-term affordability requirements, and not that the agencies wouldn't be, readily able to meet that requirement, but due to the regulatory requirements that normally come with home, I know every dollar is worth it, so I kind of reluctant to use this phrase, but it's not worth it for $20,000 or $30,000, just due to the amount of monitoring and long-term rules that come with it. And again, we don't know if that's going to be the case with these funds, because a lot under these stimulus packages, they have been putting in a lot of waivers to make it easier to spend. But the timing's just not working up. But certainly if it comes out and it has all kinds of waivers that make it easy to use, I do think that would be great if some of the agencies who still need to fill that gap and they qualify could come in for it.
Thank you. Then I think, as was stated before, we need to keep an eye on that. We need to do as much funding as possible with this. And then I have one question for you, Madam Chair. And again, that may be also to Director Marchand and Ms. Skeena, but we talked about the 75,000 and then the funds, the HODAG funds. Are we still looking at those for the soup kitchen for future? We're not pulling that away. We're just looking at the pulling of this year's CDBG, correct? Or that's what was kind of referenced. Is that correct?
I'm going to look really quickly because I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I know that we allocated over 2 years 100,000 from CDBG, so 75 this year, 25,000 next year, and then the 25,000 that's in the HODAG. If that's what I have as my notes. So someone let me know if I think that's
yes,
right.
a total amount of 75,000 in HODAG. So 25,000 per year for now, and then the anticipated for 22 and 23. And that is still the intention, is that those HODAG funds as listed in the resolution would move forward.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Do I have a motion? Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you. So the HODAG is not part of the 75,000. This is just CDBG funding. So I'm going to move to zero out line 10, Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter, $75,000 to $0. That's my motion. And that can be, divvied out after. Oh, no, I want to make a subsequent motion to that.
I was going to say, do we make the edits all at once, or do we have to do them line by line?
No, we don't. Well, it's part of this, but I'd like to reduce the soup kitchen by 75,000 and instead fund the East Hollis Street Rail Trail match money for 68,000. They can deal with the pennies.
The $307 they got to figure it out themselves. So 68,000 is what your edit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The motion is to amend the resolution by zeroing out line 10 and putting 68,000 towards the rail trail program. Was there discussion on that motion?
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Yeah, so can we add to that motion to utilize that $7,000, either to put it for Marguerite's Place or to add into our contingency account?
I believe that's the pleasure of the committee here in terms of what we want to do with the surplus.
I'd like to vote on this motion and then decide where we want to put the rest of it. I think it's cleaner, but that's my.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's why I asked the question. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion from the committee? Okay, motion is to amend.
Alderman Harriet Gathright,
You're on mute.
Yes.
Alderman Clee,
Yes.
Alderman Karen,
Yes,
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. Alderwoman Kelly,
I am abstaining.
okay. We have 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
And that motion carries. Okay, so with that, what we end up with is 7,000 surplus, and we still have 9,132.88 in contingency. Alderman Clee.
Thank you again for indulging me. I know we talked about contingency and that truly it's not something that we necessarily need to have, but I think in some cases it's good to have. Could Ms. Skeena once again tell us what is a healthy contingency to have? And if 0 is healthy contingency, that's fine. I'd just like to know how much of that $9,132.88 we should be putting towards the Marguerite Place, because they're still going to be short, even if we put that money there. So the more the merrier we could get there, I would love it.
Ms. Skeena?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the contingency, I will say over the years that I've been doing this, which is about a decade now or a little more, we've very rarely actually tapped into it. We've had it be as little as, $2,000 because it was tight in one year and upwards of $10,000 like it is this year. And the intention for those funds are if we run into any like major unforeseen issues with some of these funded projects, because they do involve construction, that there would be a little bit of money to tap into if needed. I think having the agencies get quotes and have professionals come look at it ahead of time is why we've not needed contingency as much as of late. And then the other reason that it could be used the way the resolution is written is if there was an unforeseen community need. And again, that would be subject to Board of Aldermen approval, but typically there's really not ever enough in that line item to be worth anything for a new need or a new project. So, I mean, it could be 0 and we would find ways to deal with it if unforeseen issues come up on some of these construction projects, or it could be a few $1,000s.
Are you all set, Alderman Clee?
Yes, I think I would like to, unless someone has something different. I know that we've shorted many of these projects, but the Marguerite's Place, it seemed like this is a true dire need that we need to do. So I would like to take 9,000 from the contingency plan and the remaining balance of 7,000, right, between 78 and 68 and 75, and take those 2 funds and add them to the Marguerite's Place.
So
I'd
the
like to make that
motion
recommendation.
would be to add 16,000 to the Marguerite boiler, which would be bringing it up to 46,000. And I'm trying
Yes,
to find the line. Okay.
Yes, it's still short of the 59.4 that they wanted, but I think it at least helps get them closer to that goal. And
Okay,
please
so
correct
line
me if
item,
I'm wrong. They did say that they needed all of them to be replaced. We discussed in the past that maybe we would try to get 2 or 3 or whatever it was, but the email that they did send us was this was dire and they needed all of them to be replaced. Am I correct?
that is what I remember. But I know Ms. Skeena talks to the applicants more frequently if she recalls or has anything to add to that.
So we did follow up afterwards, and they said that really, according to the contractors and professionals they had look at these boilers, that it's difficult. They're really all on their last leg. And so it's hard to say, which of the ones that are there are going to be the first to go. But really, it's their opinion that they all need to be replaced.
And then before my motion goes forward, I just have one more question. Opportunity Networks, their plumbing and water heater, we did significantly lower them from the 45,000, and but they do have other funding sources. I do see that Opportunity Network is here. So may I ask that question to them, Madam
Through me
Chair?
to, yeah. Would you like
Hi,
to
good
respond?
evening.
Could you
We're-
give your name for the record?
Hi,
No,
I'm
you're fine.
Stephanie Willett from Opportunity Networks. We are fundraising to help make up some differences, and we are talking to some funders to do that. And we are trying to talk to our landlord about, kicking in some money and helping us with that. Because we do understand that there are other programs that have just as great needs as us, and that, every year you get a little bit less funding. So, we are working to fill the gap. So yes, we are good with our funding. So we'll make it work.
Thank
Then
you
Madam
very
Chair,
much.
yes. Madam Chair, my motion stands as the 98 and, do I have this right? And the $7,000, which would be 16,800. No, sorry, 16,000 straight. Yes. Good Lord. The 9,000 from contingency and the 7,000 from the difference between the National Soup Kitchen, the rail trail. So 17,000 be allocated to Marguerite's Place, in addition to the 30,000 we originally suggested.
16,000.
16,000. Oh my goodness.
So the motion is to update line item 8 to $46,000. That would be Marguerite's Place coming up, and then changing contingency down by 9,000. And for some reason, my packet went away.
Yes, that would bring contingency to $132.88.
Okay, everyone's heard the motion. Are we clear? Do we have questions? Anybody? Alderman Wilshire.
I'm good. I'm good.
Do you want to call roll on the amendment?
Yes, I will.
Please, thank you.
Alderman Harriet Gathright,
Yes.
Alderman Clee,
Yes.
Alderman Karen,
Yes,
Alderman Wilshire votes yes, Alderwoman Kelly.
I'm just going to abstain again. Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 yeas and 1 abstention.
Okay. With that, we're at exactly level funded for the year. Is there any additional thoughts from the committee? We need to now have a motion for final passage as amended, correct?
Yes, I will make that motion. I'll move to amend. What's the resolution? I lost my resolution number. Sorry.
R21-126.
By line 10, reducing that to $68,000 and adding East Hollis Street. I'm sorry, reducing line 10 by $75,000, adding the rail trail, $68,000, and then funding Marguerite's Place at $46,000, leaving us a total in contingency of $132.88.
That is correct.
That's my motion to amend.
That's a lovely motion, Alderman Wilshire.
Thank
Is there
you.
any discussion from the committee on that? Okay.
Motion is to amend. Alderman Harriet Gathright,
Yes.
Alderman Clee,
Yes.
Alderman Karen,
yes,
Alderman Wilshire votes yes, Woman Kelly.
I'll abstain.
4 yeas, 1 abstention.
And that motion carries. All right.
I will make a
Um,
motion for final passage. Oh, that was as amended.
That was.
We
final
were just
passage of the
voting
amendment.
on the amendment, were we?
We should have voted on the amendment.
We did
then
already vote
Yeah,
on the
we did.
amendment, and then
Okay.
we did final passage. Yep.
We're good. Been a rough
did
day.
we? No, I don't, not sure that we did, Madam Chair. I think we voted on line item changes, then we voted, I think accidentally on as amended, but we should have voted on the amendment. No, yes,
As amended.
As amended.
as amended
we're
is
good.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think we're good. Okay. Okay, great. Then we are moving into new business ordinances,
We have none.
tabled in committee.
We have none.
Is there any general discussion from the committee? I see nobody. Oh, Alderman Clee.
Thank you so much for indulging me again. I think the changes that we made here are very important. I think we're keeping the soup kitchen in mind, and I appreciated Stephanie from Opportunity Networks stating that they do have other funding sources and so on. And the fact that we can fund the rail trail, which again is important because of matching funds. I could never stress enough how important that is. I always look at it as if we turn them down, then the next time the opportunity comes, they'll say, oh, you didn't need it last time, so why do it this time? And that we can help Margarita's Place a little bit more. They do great work, and I'm so happy that we're able to do that. So I want to thank everybody for all the good work that they've done.
Thank you, Alderman Clee. Anyone else? Okay. Public comment. I don't see any public. Well, remarks by Alderman. Anyone? Everybody's quiet tonight. There's no non-public. Do I have a motion?
To
Make
adjourn.
motion to adjourn
By roll call?
by roll call.
Thank you. Alderman Wilshire.
Alderman Harry Gathright,
Yes.
Alderman Clay,
Yes.
Alderman Karen,
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
We have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Director Marchant, Ms. Skeena, everybody. Nice community
you,
effort
everybody.
tonight.
Good night. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a good one.
This
By
is
the
always my
way-
feel-good.